Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Brian Ferguson, and I'm one of the fathers that gets neglected compared to my wife. But in the spirit of Father's Day, I thought I'm going to sprinkle dad jokes throughout the service. That's our revenge. What is brown and sticky? A stick. What do you call someone with no body and no nose? There you go. Well done, Sagan. You must feel so proud, David. There's more to come, and they get worse from here. Well, thank you. Well, this morning's time for all ages is I want to talk about doors and thresholds. Because today is the bridging ceremony for Mirabelle Stottermeyer, our high school, or no longer a high school graduate now. But one of the things religious communities do is mark milestones. I often think milestones about thresholds and doors. The original idea of a threshold was back when people were living more rural communities. They would actually have this kind of barrier at the bottom of each of their doorway, and that was to keep the thresh, which was the hay, the straw, that animals would eat, from coming into the rest of the house. And that's how thresholds got the name. And it's always thresholds, we always talk about stepping over. It's a tradition for couples who get married to cross the threshold. And I think all of us over the summer, especially those of us who are young, children and youth and young adults, will be crossing many thresholds. And when you come across a threshold, there's usually a door, and it's often closed. And you never know what's behind that door. Is it a door of opportunity? Is it a door of knowledge? Is it a door that might be a little bit scary? Or we cross thresholds every time we meet a new person. Could this be someone that I'm going to know for the rest of my life? And many of the children are going to go to summer camps this summer, and you'll be meeting new people, and that can be scary. You go to a summer camp, and you maybe know one person, you maybe know no one, and they're all strangers, and everyone around you looks like they know someone, but you don't. The truth is, most of them don't know each other either. So when we cross thresholds, try and do it with the opportunity that it could be something joyous, something brilliant, something great could be happening once we cross a threshold. And I know there's fear and there's challenge around it, but think of it, there might always be an opportunity. Because I know the first time I met one of my closest friends, I was scared. I was joining a group of my friends who all play soccer. And I just moved to the area, and I kind of wanted to play with them, and I just walked up to this young boy that was there. I said, "Can I join you?" They kind of looked at me up and down and said, "Sure." Wasn't the most welcoming thing. He's actually my best friend now. He was best man at my wedding. I was best man at his wedding. We shared a flat together. It didn't get off to a great start, so you don't know the opportunity. And he is a person that brings me great joy. And I want to tell one final story for Father's Day. It's a story that kind of brings me delight. And this is kind of bringing together flower communion, pride, and Father's Day all in one story. My dad, he was a very blue-collar man. He was an electrician. And I was having an argument, this was probably late 80s, early 90s, with my mother. And I was arguing about gay marriage, saying how I thought gay marriage was important and we should do that. And my mum said, "Well, we don't know anyone who's gay." And I said, "Of course you know someone who's gay." I said, "They're probably just not out or open." And she goes, "Oh no, we don't know anyone here." I mean, it was a very blue-collar coal mining town, so people were not out in the late 80s. And she turned to my dad and said, "Sure, we don't know anyone here, and we don't know anyone who's gay." And he goes, "Oh yeah, we do. My friend Bob that I work beside, he's gay." And my mum was kind of shocked about it, and then she thought about it and said, "Well, he is the only one that ever brings me flowers." on that note. See, I did combine flower communion, Father's Day, and Pride Month, as we are in now. And invite Beth up. I'll invite the children to leave now for the religious education, and we'll sing the children out.
I get a secret little thrill when anything's canceled at the last minute. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, 4 hours of free time, unstructured. The gift of unexpected, unstructured time can be a real joy, at least for me. Big chunks of time, a little harder. What do we do during the summer with our kids? What do we do as empty nesters? What do we do with retirement? In June of 1995, my daughters were 16, they were driving, they had jobs, and I was facing my very first summer of complete freedom. And I decided to join the women's golf group at my husband's club. Now, I have to admit that was a little bit hypocritical. I wasn't that comfortable with country clubs, and I had just signed a petition about water usage at golf courses. But I thought it would be really good for my marriage. And it was outdoors, and I'd meet new people, and I'd have fun. It was a very practical decision. And then one Friday afternoon, I was walking to my classroom after lunch, and I overheard a teacher say to a parent, "Well, I'm going to Romania this summer to work in orphanages." I put my books down on my table, and I swear I heard a voice in my head saying, "You are going too." Now, the voice did sound suspiciously like Charlton Heston, and I do not really believe in a personal God who speaks to me. But, I had never heard that voice before, and more importantly, I had this absolute sense in front of me and inside of me that I was going to Romania. It felt like divine guidance. So I talked to the teacher after school, and she said, sorry, no way. We've been meeting for months, we go in 2 weeks, maybe next year. But I asked for the number of the coordinator anyway, and I called him that afternoon, and he said, "I don't believe this. Somebody just canceled today. I didn't know what I was going to do." And I said, actually, I wasn't surprised. I said, "Right, yeah, I'll take the ticket." And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I made 6 trips in total to Romania, doing different activities with kids in different places. And the experience gave me the confidence to become a foster mom later when I got back. So I've thought a lot about, if it wasn't divine guidance, then what was that voice? And I realized it was the voice of my true self, my inner self, the one that I'd been ignoring on all my busy days, and I finally had the chance to really hear. I was going to join a golf club for the wrong reasons. It was practical. It was necessary, perhaps. But it did not feed my soul. Going to Romania filled needs that I was not acknowledging within myself. It filled the need for travel and adventure. It filled a need to do more good in the world. And it filled a need for me to have some kind of focus outside of my family. Now, I don't expect any of you to be visited by the voice of Charlton Heston. But is there something that you've always wanted to do that maybe seemed a little bit selfish? It was just for you. Or maybe the logistics just seemed too daunting. Think about Sarah Scoveland's wonderful service, Mary Oliver's Wild and Precious Life. Maybe this summer, think about doing something just a little wild and crazy. Don't procrastinate, as Maribel tells us. And when you do, be sure to tell me about it.
Thank you, Beth. 2 more jokes, since the last one was so successful. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon. I'll let you know. You'll be pleased to hear that's the last intentional joke. We're coming into the summer. It's a time of opportunity. And opportunity can be challenging and can be anxiety producing. It also can be a time of joy and delight, as I mentioned in the Time for All Ages. And it's said that good things come to those who wait. But after Beth's story, she seems to provide another perspective, that it comes when an opportunity arises and you grab it and make it happen. And not procrastinate. And a friend of mine was at a retirement, preparing for retirement seminar. And it started off by asking, what do you want to do when you retire? And people would, had lots of ideas. And then the person leading the seminar said, why aren't you doing it now? Why aren't you doing it now? I can think of 2 reasons not to do it now. 2 good reasons. There's probably lots of poor reasons. But the 2 good reasons can be limited time or health limitations. But for those of us who are still working, what do we really want to do? What are we waiting for? Because I think we all know too many stories of someone planning for retirement and then having ill health, or having a partner with ill health, or even losing a partner. So I think there's something that's said about grabbing the opportunity now, as Beth was saying, when it arises. And opportunities present themselves in our lives all the time. And I think this summer presents us with maybe a little more time. There might be opportunities for travel. There might be more time with families. There is an opportunity, and do we approach it with like fear and challenge, or do we really approach it with this wonderful opportunity to engage more joyfully into life? And my colleague, Reverend Julia Hamilton, says too many of us are overwhelmed and underjoyed. Too many of us are overwhelmed and underjoyed. And I understand that, because we spend so much of our time focusing with regrets in the past, or looking forward with fear and anxiety or uncertainty about the future. What about living in the moment? And I think that's where delight comes in. Because you can't really plan for delight. Delight's some of these unexpected things that just happen and bring us joy. It's a kind of manifestation of incidental goodness, kindness, and generosity. It's not really planned for, but we have to be open to it. And delight has this wonderful sense of wonder and awe and mystery about it. There's an uncertainty that makes it delight and not just joy, as I spoke about last week. So I invite you, as we move into the summer, approach circumstances and situations. Are you open for joy? Are you open for learning? Are you open for new insights? Are you open to delight? It may or may not happen. It may be one of those doors or one of those thresholds we cross that will surprise us with joy, like a new friendship, a new relationship, a new person, a new kind, generous person in our lives. And there's 2 parts to delight. One requires us to be attentive in the moment. And there's that unexpected nature that we need to be open to it. And when you have something unexpected happen to you, what is your first reaction? Is it a jump? Is it a fear? Or is it excitement? I invite us to really try and move into the excitement part of surprise. And the Scottish poet Alexander Smith said that love is but the discovery of ourselves and others, and the delight in the recognition. Love is but the discovery of ourselves and others, and the delight in the recognition. I love that idea because we talk so often as a religious community about this connection we feel with one another. We have this covenant of how we promise to be with one another. And I love that idea. Could that covenant be grounded in joy and delight and the love of within ourselves discovered within each other? I mean, I talked with Mirabelle with the blessing that she will take a little piece of her heart with her, and she leaves a little piece of her heart with us as she turns on that bridge across youth to young adult. And delight has also got this sense of awe and mystery and wonder that makes life exciting, and that's a part of our first Unitarian Universalist source. The direct experience of mystery and wonder, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and openness to forces that create and uphold life. The forces that create and uphold life are part of the transcending mystery and wonder of life. And sometimes we just don't recognize that we have enough, and we just strive for more and more and not enjoy what we have. And there's a beautiful story, and it's about a Silicon Valley venture capitalist. You may know one. And they're on a very rare vacation down in Mexico. He's in this Mexican village on the coast, and he walks down about 11 o'clock in the morning, and he sees the fishing boats come in, and he watches them unload all the fish. And he gets talking with the captain of the boat and says, "That looks like a good catch you had." He said, "Oh, it's a really good catch." He said, "But I'm surprised that you're coming in to shore so early. Is there not a lot of fish out in the sea?" He goes, "Oh," the captain of the boat said, "There's lots of fish in the sea. It was a great thing. So are you going back out later?" And he said, "No, I'm done for the day." And the venture capitalist is like, "You're done for the day? Why don't you go back out? You could earn more money." And the captain of the boat says, "Why would I want to do that?" "Well, if you earn more money, you could buy another boat and send 2 boats out and get even." He said, "Well, why would I do that?" "Well, that would give you more money." And he said, "Well, what would I do with that?" "Well, then you could buy a whole fleet of boats, and you could go out and make even more money." He said, "Oh, and then what would I do with all that money?" He said, "Well, then you could retire and live in a small village in Mexico and not have to work." And the captain goes, "Like I'm doing now?" And the venture capitalist walked away puzzled. But I think that's part of the idea that to actually really be open to joy and delight, we need to develop the sense of having enough time, having enough space to take those risks, to live into those moments of delight. I think we can practice this as a spiritual community through the idea of play. There's a lot of writings now from various academics and from popular writers about the importance of play and encouraging creativity, but encouraging good mental health. That was one of the tough things about the pandemic. A lot of people lost the sense of play. And the writer Diane Ackerman says this: "Deep play reveals our need to seek a special brand of transcendence, with a passion that makes thrill-seeking understandable, creativity possible, and religion inevitable." Deep play reveals our need to seek a special brand of transcendence with a passion that makes thrill-seeking understandable, creativity possible, and religion inevitable. When play stops, our creativity, our adaptability, and our intelligence gets thwarted. And religion may seem like an unlikely playground for play. So often we think of religion being stiff, boring, structured, dogmatic, and serious. Certainly sounds like my Presbyterian upbringing. But religious upbringing, we are not limited by our religious upbringing in Unitarian Universalism or the experience we've had in the past. I don't think Unitarian Universalism is stiff and boring, and it certainly doesn't need to be. And we certainly aren't dogmatic. But maybe we do focus too much on our church as a place of work rather than a place of play. Perhaps we can bring more play into the life of our church because it was healthy. It will help our spiritual growth, and it will help us move into joy and delight. Because the quality of the life is perhaps in proportion to our capacity for delight. And the capacity for delight is the gift of paying attention to the opportunity that life presents us to play. If you're doing something with a purpose, it's probably not play. Are we ready for the delight of opportunity?